President Obama spent the day in John Boehner's home state of Ohio, where he pushed the American Jobs Act in front of an aging bridge that connects to Mitch McConnell's home state of Kentucky.
There's no reason for Republicans in Congress to stand in the way of more construction projects. There's no reason to stand in the way of more jobs. Mr. Boehner, Mr. McConnell, help us rebuild this bridge. Help us rebuild America. Help us put construction workers back to work. Pass this bill.
The president also gleefully answered the Republicans' accusation that his policy proposals are class warfare.
They say, well, this is class warfare. You know what? If asking a billionaire to pay their fair share of taxes, to pay the same tax rate as a plumber or a teacher, is class warfare, then you know what? I'm a warrior for the middle class. I'm happy to fight for the middle class. I'm happy to fight for working people. Because the only warfare I've seen is the battle against the middle class.
There will surely be more talk of class warfare at the Republican debate tonight in Florida. President Obama won Florida in 2008 with 51% of the vote. He beat John McCain by roughly 230,000 votes, but it will be an uphill battle in 2012. The unemployment rate in Florida is 10.7%, more than a point and a half above the national average. A new Quinnipiac poll out today shows President Obama's approval rating in Florida at just 39%, with 57% saying they disapprove of the job the president is doing. And only 41% say he deserves to be reelected, while 53% say he does not. Joining me now is Adam Smith, the political editor for the St. Petersburg Times. Thanks for joining me tonight, Adam.
Glad to be here.
Adam, is there any precedent in Florida for an incumbent president with that kind of polling, approval polling, turning that number around in a re-election campaign in Florida?
You know, I am not aware of any precedents for coming back from that low a point, but it is very early. We're more than a year out, and it's worth remembering that, you know, as late as April 2008, Obama was 15 points behind John McCain in Florida. So he's certainly got a lot of time.
Now, Florida gave President Obama 27 of the 365 electoral votes that he won in 2008. When you look at the numbers that way, it looks like he can get to an electoral majority without Florida. Is there a possible Obama campaign strategy that doesn't include Florida?
You know, the rule of thumb has always been Florida is a must-win for the Republicans. It's not really a must-win for the Democrats. And that's Obama, really, if you looked at the overall electoral map, he's got a lot of flexibility there. He could lose Florida. He could lose Indiana. I don't think that people think that's in play. He could lose North Carolina, Virginia. He'd still get past 270 electoral votes.
Where are the areas in Florida where you think the president could gain ground? Certainly in the polling that we were looking at in Florida about Rick Perry, for example, and the Social Security issues, it looks like the president, certainly if Rick Perry's the nominee, would be able to gain ground on the Social Security issue in Florida. Is there anything else he could do there?
You know, elections in Florida are won in the middle, and it's the I-4 corridor from St. Petersburg to Daytona, which is really the swing voter area of Florida, and that's really where Obama's in trouble. Those approval ratings among independent and swing voters are just as bad as they are among overall. So he's got a lot of work to do in that reign. And there's sort of a myth from 2008 that he won with a really hyped-up base and an excited base. He really won because he won independence. He won independence by 7 percentage points.
And I noticed that the governor, Rick Scott, in this poll is really in a bad position, too. He has a 37% approval rating. He's a Tea Party Republican-type governor. 37% approval rating, a 50% disapproval rating. So the approval-disapproval we're seeing on those two incumbents, the president and the governor of Florida, in Florida, is certainly a bipartisan disapproval. It's not party-based, it seems.
It is, but believe it or not, Rick Scott's actually come up a little bit in his approval ratings. So now he's just has lousy approval ratings instead of absolutely terrible approval ratings.
And is there any indication that going forward that in general there's a condition in Florida that might change the voting landscape? You know, is there any hope for some sort of economic surge in Florida that would be different from the national economy?
You know, I wish I could say there was, because we are really hurting in Florida, and the anxiety here is very, very deep, and you just don't hear a lot of people expecting it to turn around in any significant way over the next year. So if there's hope for Obama, it's like you were touching on, it's, you know, right now he's not running against a person. Eventually he'll be running against a person, a Mitt Romney or Rick Perry, and it may be that person's unpalatable.
Right, right. Adam Smith of the St. Petersburg Times, thanks for joining us on Debate Night in Florida tonight.
Thanks for having me.